On tonight's episode, I will fail some 3D prints, fire some lasers, and build something completely useless. Okay, with CitizenCon right around the corner, and I mean real right after this video comes out, I think it's time for a fun little Star Citizen related build project. We have the master modes available in Arena Commander to test out, and one thing I actually wanted to do is build a master mode switch for my setup. Okay, this is something that will be on the right module of my Star Citizen configuration, and it just needs to be something that I can smash quickly with my hand when I want to switch the modes. And yes, it would make much more sense to have it in my joystick, but then I wouldn't get a chance to build this thing. And yes, I know CRG might change things and there might be some other modes in the future, but then I will just get an excuse for another interesting project in the future. Okay, a build like this has 3 criteria that I need to accomplish. First, it needs to look good. Second, it needs to feel good. And 3, it also needs to sound good. And for that purpose, I actually found this small switch. It's not that small, but kind of right size for this project. Is aluminium, so it's durable, sounds nice, and really nice tactile feeling. This is actually something I picked up from Amazon.de, which is the one I use here in Finland, so I can put the link in the description if you're interested in checking that one out. But anyway, this is just perfect for what I have in mind. So, first thing I have to do is again design a 3D model, and as always, this one also will be available for you to download if you want to print it yourself. And once the design is complete, it's time to start printing. Okay, so the printing part really didn't go as I planned. I actually ended up making 3 versions, and each of these was worse than the one before. So the first one was actually quite successful. The issue is that I ended up printing this with 50% infill, since that was something I used in my last project where I needed to have something a bit sturdier, but I forgot to change it. So this actually interesting thing is that at least when I look at the light through it, it doesn't let that much light to come through. So then the second one, it was somewhat okay, but there were already some small layer adhesion issues here. So what I did do in this case, I actually just cleaned the nozzle and kind of the basic maintenance. And then I got the third one, and this was a complete mess. And when I tried to print something after this, it was even worse. So I think I'm going to have some stuff to do, some maintenance to do with my 3D printer in the future. But for now, I decided that I am actually going to go with the first 2 ones. So first of all, the middle one, I just ended up adding some droplets of super glue here, so it will stay together and I think it will look nice. But this with something like 50% infill, this has 20% infill. But with this one, I decided I'm actually going to paint and engrave both of these. And it actually is going to be interesting to see that what the end result will be. With the bigger infill, more infill, it will less hot spotting, but are the LEDs bright enough to let the light come through? So that's an interesting question, but I'm going to find it out. Now that I have prints ready here, I can take off the panel, and I really need to separate USB hub for this side also, but I can take it to the workshop and start working with this. Okay, the painting was done yesterday, and since it's a bit chilly autumn afternoon here, I decided to start by putting a fire in the fireplace, and then the master mode button. Well, the painting didn't go that well either. The issue is that because I decided I'm not going to sand it smooth, because I figured the ironing result from the 3D print looked quite good, but the bad print, especially for the middle block, already is visible here. But that's something I cannot help, and I'll just need to continue the work. And if you're wondering about the small block, it's actually something I use to calibrate the laser engraver, because I might use different paints or might apply another extra layer of paint. So it's something that I am painting exactly as the panel that I am engraving, and I can use it to try out different power levels and find the best one. Too little power, it doesn't burn through the paint, and too much power, it's already starts melting the plastic. Before I started engraving anything, I actually had to sand the areas around the button because I wanted light to come through them also. And using power tools really wasn't that good idea because it also seemed to melt the plastic, so I started sanding by hand, and this was a long process. After some trial and error, I first realized that I actually should have done this before painting to sand it really smooth, and then I would only have to paint the sand. But now there's some paint in the recesses that I need to get rid of, and also kind of realized that yeah, I might need to actually cover parts of this in any case. And I also had time for quick snacks, and keeping in the spirit of this project, I actually managed to completely burn one of my sausages simply because I forgot it was there while I was working with something else. And once the sanding was done, I took the blocks to my laser engraver. I'm using Lightburn software for the engraving, and since I didn't have any double-sided tape available, I just added some hot glue just to keep it in place in case I actually would have to run it through second time. But the good thing is that I didn't have to. And after the engraving was done, it was time to start adding LEDs. And I decided that I'm still going to add LEDs to both of these so I can at least compare them to see what the results look like. And with the 3mm LEDs and 3.2mm hole for them, it's quite snug fit, but I still decided to add some hot glue just to make sure that it will stay in place. Since I'm using 4 LEDs with about 3V forward voltage, the calculators say that I only need to use 1 ohm resistor, which I'm adding here. And when it comes to soldering, it's something I'm not really good at all. Don't do as I do, instead find some people who actually know what they're doing and watch their videos if you want to learn something about soldering. It's pretty clear which version I'm going to use, but the interesting thing is that hotspotting seems to be much worse with this 50% infill print. Perhaps it lets the light go up, but it doesn't allow it to dissipate inside because the more infill. In this case, I still decided to try out an emergency solution and hot glued part of 12V LED strip behind the lights. And the results were adequate. And once I was done with that one, it was also time to add the rest of the LEDs that will go around the switch. And then adding the switch itself, and this was quite easy case this time because I could just screw in the wires that are going to the Leo Bodnar board. Okay, in no shape or form is this one of my best works, but it's okay. In actual gameplay situation, it will look good enough and it will feel nice. So I think I just rushed through it a bit too fast, really didn't pay attention to the details, but it's a learning experience. And I think I really need at some point, and I could make a video out of it, to just try out different stuff that I could make with these printable panels to see that how I could get rid of the hot spotting, what sort of kind of infills to use, and how to sand the surface to make it look nice. But in any case, next step, I'll need to attach this to the panel. And first thing for it, I need to draw the placement. And at this point you might be thinking that what a dumbass he should have actually done the markings before attaching any LEDs. But I might be a bit smarter than I look. I actually have the third panel that I can use in this case to make markings. And once done with those, just kind of drill in a couple of holes for all the stuff that I need here. And in this case I'm actually going to leave a small lip between those two LED groups, so it will handle the force a bit better if I need to really smack it hard. And I just had to connect the switch to the Leo Bodnar board, which is basically a plug and play thing at this point, and then just connecting the LEDs to my normal 12V circuit that I have going through here, and finally testing everything out, with my laptop just to make sure that the switch is actually working, and I also haven't broken anything while building this. And once back upstairs, just dropping the panel in its place, configuring first the joystick gremlin and then the key bindings in Star Citizen, and everything is working perfectly. Okay, so that was an interesting project. Definitely not one of my best builds, but at the same time it's a fun little addition to my setup, so just going to keep it here. Once I get my 3D printer working, and I really need to buy something like a bamboo lapse printer or something like that in the future, where I don't have to spend all my time tweaking with the printer, but can continue tweaking with my setup. But anyway, when it's working, I actually might redo this quite soon, and also make a video while concentrating on stuff like figuring out how to get the best diffusion with 3D printed panels, and also stuff like how to get the best surface, the most kind of solid surface with my prints. But that's it for now, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe. In any case, thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.